God is calling us out of the places we hide, out of insecurity, out of shame, out from under that which silences love and justice.
Come out, people of God. Though we may be afraid, though we will be at risk, though the cross stands as a threat, God calls us to courage.
Our God is a God of resurrection, of new life after devastation, of hope in the grip of evil. And so we dare to proclaim with pride and faith our truths.
We believe in the power of love. We believe in the solidarity with the suffering. We believe we are each valuable. We believe that our togetherness is transformative.
The world is longing for holy truths that reveal, for voices that speak real words of hope. Come out, people of God. Words from the Queer Christian Collaborative Infleshed to call us into worship this special Easter and Trans Day of Visibility Sunday. Come out, one and all, to celebrate the power of love, the courage bolstered by community, and the transforming power of resurrection and rebirth. Welcome, one and all.
Welcome to First Parish in Needham, a Unitarian Universalist congregation of humanists, theists, atheists, agnostics, seekers, and interfaith families. My name is Carol Alper, and I'm currently a member of the Parish Committee, which is the governing body for our church community. I'm also a member of the choir. You'll be hearing more from us as the service proceeds. I'm also the organizer for the Memorial Garden right out there, so if you'd like to help, let me know. And of course, there's more. You can learn more about all the many things that are happening at First Parish by going to our website uuneedham.org, and signing up for our weekly newsletter or by following us on social media. Our order of service is online too, at the QR code in your pews and at the website uuneedham.updates.church. Please speak with ushers, greeters, and Zoom hosts if you have questions or accessibility needs. This spring season is a celebratory time for many of us in our pluralistic congregation. We recently hosted the Needham Muslim community iftar. We have plans to honor both Ramadan and Passover in Sunday services next month. Today, we honor the Christian observance of Easter, and also today, we recognize the Trans Day of Visibility. Spoiler alert, Reverend Katie will have more to say about how these two things are interrelated. At First Parish, we covenant to live out our shared beliefs of the inherent worth and dignity of every person, respecting the earth and co-creating beloved community. Whoever you are, whoever you love, whatever your background or identity, whatever your age or stage, whether you walked or rolled in, and wherever you're participating from, you are welcome here.
As we light our chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, we read responsively words from queer Euro-American Christian writer, educator, and composer Amanda Udis Kessler. I'm going to hand this over to Dara because she was supposed to do this part. This is how we're doing this morning.
I was wondering about that. I'll speak the plain type, and you'll respond with Reverend Katie with the italicized type. We'll end together all with the same bold type. And please take note of our new engagement coordinator, Emily LaPierre, who you'll meet later. We're so excited to have her. And who is now going to be helping us as we light our chalice. Despair is sapping our spirits, damaging our souls, hurting our hearts.
We need to be resurrected into hope, faith, and trust. Today, may we be resurrected.
Violence is shortening our lives and robbing us of our joy.
We need to be resurrected into peace and its many blessings. Today, may we be resurrected.
Selfishness is tearing our social fabric, hiding us from one another, turning us inward.
We need to be resurrected into generosity, compassion, and open-heartedness. Today, may we be resurrected.
Fear is pitting us against each other, stripping our delight, poisoning our relationships.
We need to be resurrected into courage and connection. Today, may we be resurrected.
Injustice is devaluing and dehumanizing us all, punishing some terribly and frightening others deeply.
We need to be resurrected into justice and healing. Today, may we be resurrected.
Hatred is breeding despair, violence, selfishness, fear, and injustice among us and among our children.
Today, we need to be resurrected into love. Today, may we be resurrected.
And now I'll read our parish covenant. In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, the covenant is a set of promises the membership of the congregation strives to honor with one another and out in the world. Whether we participate in our community online or in the building, we strive to live these promises every day. Please say along with me the words of our parish covenant as in your order of service. We gather as a loving community to encourage and comfort one another. We gather as a diverse community to support each other in our search for spiritual truth. We gather as a service community to live our beliefs through action and care for our world.
Thank you, Carol. Our parish covenant says again and again that we gather, and we know we haven't been gathering in quite the way we used to for 4 years now. We have so many wonderful parishioners dialing in on YouTube and Zoom, and we're so blessed to have the technology and the skilled staff and lay leaders who make it possible for us to expand our services outside of our meeting house. So today we're experimenting with having a congregational greeting, both wherever you are amongst yourselves and between the sanctuary and the internet. So if you're participating on YouTube Live, I do recommend jumping over to Zoom if you can, and you have a couple of minutes to do that, because the first greeting we're going to have is to our newest staff member, Emily LaPierre, our new engagement coordinator. Yay!
Yay! Hi!
Emily, welcome. As our tech folks work on connecting the sanctuary to the internet and vice versa, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello. I'm very excited to be here today. Growing up in Boston, I was introduced to a few different churches throughout my childhood. Many family members coming from a lot of different religious backgrounds that gave me kind of a very broad overview of what my interests might be as I got older. A few years ago, I kind of delved into Unitarian Universalism on Martha's Vineyard, where I'm relocating from due to the birth of my daughter, Aurora, who is playing downstairs right now. And it was just a really warm welcome, and it was a really wonderful community that I was really happy to be involved with. And when I moved back to the area and saw this position, I was really excited to find comfort in a place that was familiar to me, in beliefs that I've really grown to love and engage with. engage with. I'm coming into the engagement coordinator position, having just been a children's librarian, as well as a previous preschool instructor and a current children's yoga and mindfulness instructor still. I've moved back to the area to move and be closer to my support system, family and friends. I love to read, garden, get involved, and I'm really excited to be here, and I look forward to meeting every single one of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Emily. And everyone, I encourage you to wave to Emily and say, welcome, Emily.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now hopefully, I don't know if it's happening. Let's see. Things are happening on the screens. Now we're going to do our best live to wave to one another across the internet. Woo! So let's give a big wave. Hi, folks on Zoom. Hello. Ooh, and now I invite you all, whether you're in your chat box or in your pew, to say hello, I'm glad to see you here. Say hi to one another. Take a minute. Yeah. Thank you all for your warm greetings to your neighbors near and far. I think this worked, we'll find out later. It worked in the sanctuary, I hope it worked on Zoom. And thank you all so much for your warm welcome of Emily. Before we begin our opening prayer, I do want to acknowledge that we're missing two of our religious professionals this morning, our religious educator, Sarah Elizabeth, and our music director, Laura. Both are experiencing some very difficult personal crises right now, and suddenly we're not able to be here this Sunday. And I ask you to hold them in your hearts. In particular, please pray for the family of Laura's best friend from childhood. Her name is Rachel. She died unexpectedly this weekend on Friday from undiagnosed disease. And Laura is in South Carolina right now to grieve and provide support to their best friend's husband and two sons. So please join me with this in your hearts. Please join me now in the spirit of prayer and reflection as we use deep breathing and guiding words to calm our bodies and minds and shore up our hearts and spirits. As you become comfortable yet alert in your bodies, you can close your eyes or soften your gaze and breathe deeply. I invite you to breathe deeply in and out. I invite you into this time of prayer with words adapted from Black Gay UU minister Reverend Carlton Elliott Smith. Spirit of life, source of love, in which we live and breathe and have our being. While some children look for eggs filled with surprises, we know there are children all around the world searching for a crust of bread or a few grains of rice. May we be willing to feed the hungry and end all causes of hunger. As some children discover treats for their amusement, other children are disappearing because of treatable illnesses, unsafe water, and the ruins of war. May we find the lost and offer them every advantage to grow and thrive. While some of us sit down to meals with our loved ones, some will be alone or grieving, without so much as a phone call to break the silence. May we comfort the lonely and build strong bonds of mutual care in our local communities. As we speak today of barren tombs, we remember that some are encased in their own desperation and despair or restricted in their freedom by outside forces. May we release the prisoners from traps of the spirit and of society. May we break the bread of peace and share the blessings which we ourselves are blessed to know. May we help each other be unafraid of the cycle of life and death, unafraid of the unknown, unafraid of transformation and resurrection, instead trusting in love that endures, in love that we are called to embody. Amen. Please remain seated and join in singing our meditative response, "I Know This Rose Will Open." The lyrics are in your orders of service on screen and at number 396 in your gray hymnals.
Good morning, everyone.
Who remembers these from last week? Yeah, can y'all tell me? What did we use these for last week in our service? Come on, people, you were here, some of you. Palms, and what did they do? Why did we have them? Palm Sunday, yep. What does Palm Sunday mean? Who processed into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday? Jesus did, right, exactly. And who else processed in on that same day? Right, Pilate and the Roman army. So this week, we're moving on in this story of what's happening with Jesus and our Roman Empire. So remember, the Roman authorities, they did not like that prophet Jesus. He made them feel threatened because he taught the people that there was a power stronger than Rome's power, a peace truer than Rome's peace, and a justice more fairer than Rome's justice. And on Thursday, after he entered Jerusalem, Jesus was arrested by the Roman authorities. As a reminder, this is how they exercised their authority. So on that Thursday, they came and arrested Jesus. And on Friday, they nailed Jesus to the cross and they killed him. And he died alongside two other people that the Romans decided to execute. They were left in public as an example to scare other potential revolutionaries. And after he died, Jesus' family and his followers, they placed his body in a tomb, which was a cave with a huge rock rolled across the entrance.
Everyone thought that's where Jesus' story would end, but that wasn't the end at all. In fact, there are a few different stories about what happened next. That happens sometimes when someone dies. Everyone remembers things a little bit differently. In one story, which we call the biblical gospel according to Mark, his friends found just an empty tomb. In other gospels, messengers tell his friends that Jesus isn't dead anymore, and he turns up later. Can our volunteers gather over near the candles and the Easter Bunny family?
Okay, true story. I forgot to recruit volunteers. So we need Mary Magdalene. Who wants to be Mary? Come on. This is a saucy, spicy, exciting role.
Yes.
Thank you, Claire. We need Jesus, because this story could not happen without... Come on up, Vivian. We've got Jesus. Who else do we need? We need disciples. Who wants to follow our Jesus? Come on, I need 3 or 4 of yous. Come on.
Everett.
Joe, thank you. Theo.
Follow your sister.
Woohoo! All right, so you all just stand over there until you're called. And everybody stand over by the candles. Now, listen to the story. We're going to give you some directions, but also act out what we say, all right? So Reverend Katie has rolled our stone covering. We've heard the story. Now, go ahead. Sorry, Emily, I interrupted you.
That was the end of my part.
That was, oops. Okay, Dara, step on up. All right. Our story begins today with Jesus' friend, Mary Magdalene. From the Gospel according to John, this story begins very early on a Sunday morning, so early that it is still dark outside. You see, Mary loved Jesus, and now that the Jewish Sabbath was over, she wanted to properly prepare his body to be buried. But when she got to the tomb, she saw that the huge rock had been rolled away. Okay, Mary, peek inside, please, and look surprised and maybe upset. Oh no, thought Mary, where is Jesus?
Right away, she went to tell Jesus' other friends and followers what had happened. They ran to the tomb to see for themselves. But all they found inside were strips of linen cloth that had bound his body. They were so upset, they left. All right, disciples, you can go back to where you were, and Mary can come get you.
Nope, Mary, you're
Not
supposed
yet.
to still be up at the tomb.
Get in the tomb, Mary.
You apparently never left.
You're doing great.
After the others had left, all the while Mary stood outside the tomb crying. After the others had left, she saw 2 messengers all dressed in white. One of them asked her why she was crying. "Someone took my teacher, and I don't know where they put him," she said.
Then she saw another person. Here's your chance, Jesus, to show the world of your transformation. Jesus, come forward. It was Jesus, but she didn't recognize him, which was an important point that I want you to remember. He too asked her why she was crying. "Sir, if you took Jesus somewhere, please show me where so I can tend to his body," Mary demanded. She turned to leave, but then he called out to her. Jesus, call out to Mary and say, "Mary, it's me."
Mary was overjoyed to see him again. "Rabboni," she cried as she ran to him and wrapped her arms around him, clinging to him tightly and consensually. But Jesus shrugged out of her hug and looked her in the eye. "Mary, do not cling to me. Don't hold on to me. Go to our friends and tell them that I am being transformed. I'm going to be with God." And Mary let go of Jesus and left to do as he had asked. And she told their friends what she had seen with her own eyes, what he had told her. Okay, thanks, volunteers. We loved your help. Great job.
I know this may seem like a strange story. There are a lot of sacred stories that are kind of strange. Finding someone alive who was dead is definitely strange. And then to have that person tell us to stop hugging them, to stop clinging to them when we find them alive, that seems pretty strange too.
But that is how true love is, really. When we really love someone, we we love not only who we understood them to be yesterday, but whoever they are in the process of becoming today, and whoever they will become tomorrow. And when we really, truly love someone, we need to hold them gently, not tightly. We need to remember not to cling to any one thing about them today, so they have the freedom to grow and to change.
In most Christian churches, the palms from Palm Sunday are burned and the ashes are used on Ash Wednesday the following year, a kind of transformation. Reverend Katie has made a rose from last week's palms during this time for all ages. You're welcome to take one during the service or after. You'll making more, working on it. Perhaps like Mary Magdalene with Jesus, you might not have recognized the palms how they are now, but they are still a beautiful treasure. They were both still the palm fawn that they were, and they are something new.
Today is a special day, not only because it's Easter Sunday, it's also special today because today is the Trans Day of Visibility. Just as Jesus lived in a world that wanted him to stay in categories that just didn't fit, and just like he experienced miraculous and unexpected transformations, some people in our world today assume every person is one of two genders, and that every person's gender matches what their doctor declared when they were born. It takes a lot of extra energy, time, and courage for transgender and non-binary people to keep growing and becoming and transforming into people who don't fit into binary categories. This is why it is important for us to practice love that holds one another gently. Love that allows one another the room to grow and to keep changing and keep transforming.
Today we celebrate the beauty, the genius, the wisdom, the accomplishments of trans and non-binary people through the unusual, surprising, one might even say, queer story of Jesus' purported transformation and resurrection. Happy Easter and happy Trans Day of Visibility to all. This congregation has been supported by the volunteered time and treasure of its members and friends since its founding in 1711. This is the time in our service when we, the modern stewards of the church, offer what we can to build and sustain the congregation and the world we envision. For this special Sunday morning, we will share our entire collection with the Massachusetts Transgender Political Coalition, or MassTPC. MTPC envisions a world where all trans, non-binary, and gender-expansive people are valued and are celebrated, fully participate and thrive in all areas of society, and actualize their full potential and self-determination to shape the future. MPTC educates the public, advocates for trans rights at state, local, and systemic levels, engages in capacity building and leadership training, and advances community wellness and prosperity. To donate to today's offering, you can use one of 3 different methods as described in detail in the order of service. You can use text to give using the number 73256. You can donate through our website, uuneedem.org, or you can drop a check or cash into our offering plate, or you can mail a check to First Parish. Whichever way you want to donate, please remember to specify whether it's meant for the plate collection today or for your annual pledge. And if this is one of your first visits to First Parish, we encourage you to fill out a yellow card in your pew back or to fill out the online form at uuneedem.updates.church. Thank you for everything you are able to give to help support and sustain this congregation and the vital work of our community partners. And many thanks to Lynn Jakowski this morning for our beautiful Easter bouquet dedicated to her mother, who passed away on April 1st, 33 years ago. May the ushers please come forward.
I need a
Thank you, choir. That was beautiful. I really appreciate the music. Our reading this morning comes from Asian Canadian writer, bookstore owner, and activist Celine Chuang. This is an excerpt of a sermon essay, and she delivered it to a Christian congregation on Transfiguration Sunday, which remembers the miraculous and brief transformation of Jesus in the midst of his ministry. Chuang writes, "I've always found the Transfiguration a strange and compelling story. Jesus takes 3 disciples up to the top of a high mountain, which marks the liminal space. An in-between place between heaven and earth. The text tells us that he is transfigured before them. His clothes become luminous, and Moses and Elijah appear to speak with him. God's voice comes from behind a cloud, naming Jesus as God's son. In the Transfiguration, we see the exaltation of Jesus in his fleshly body, his earthy and earthly body, his body that touched those deemed untouchable, fed the hungry, restored the reviled, and rebuked the rich, his human body that felt hungry, tender and weary, his political body, a brown-skinned ethnic minority living under militarized imperial occupation." Queer Christian podcaster and educator Brian G. Murphy and Father Shannon Kearns see the Transfiguration as the moment when Jesus shares what he truly is with the people that are closest to him. A kind of coming out moment. And this coming out contains world's multitude paradoxes. It is as much secretive, scary, and partial as it is liberating. The disciples, they're terrified, transported and trembling. They are fully unprepared for this divine drag show. This non-binary bridging, boundary-bending body that disorients and dazzles. If you can't tell already, I love how unavoidably queer the Transfiguration story is. Despite Western Christianity's heavy-handed dogma of disembodiment for purposes of colonial and capitalist domination, hand in hand with other powers and principalities like hetero-cis patriarchy and white supremacy, the embodiment of Jesus still reverberates with radical potential. In the Transfiguration story, we see the exaltation of Jesus' hybrid body, his transgressive body, his borderland body. It shows us that queer folk now have essential wisdom to share about God and embodiment. God reveals God's self in bodies that disrupt the norms and transgress the lines. Paying attention to the prophetic gift of queerness, this is holy work. Here ends our reading.
I wonder about what happened to Jesus in the tomb and why his dearest friends couldn't recognize him. It wasn't only Mary Magdalene who didn't recognize Jesus. On Easter Sunday, he joined 2 of his followers on a long walk to Emmaus and began a meal with them before they realized who he was. Another of his disciples demanded that he could touch Jesus' body to confirm that it was really him. Were their minds simply rejecting the information coming from their eyes and their ears because, understandably, they couldn't imagine that Jesus was alive? Or, like the palm frond, folded in a new way, was he just a bit too different to be recognized? Or was he like a caterpillar and the tomb his chrysalis? Spanish-British science writer Luis Villazon explains, when a caterpillar starts to change into a pupa, its own digestive enzymes begin to break down most of the cells into a chemical soup. Clumps of cells called imaginal discs, which are contained within the caterpillar's body for its entire life, divide rapidly. At first, these imaginal discs are treated as invaders and attacked by the caterpillar's immune system, but eventually, the imaginal cells overwhelm the dwindling caterpillar cells and begin to use the raw materials around them to assemble new butterfly structures such as wings, legs, eyes, and antennae. These structures eventually connect up with the remaining caterpillar parts, and the newly assembled butterfly emerges. As Unitarian Universalists, we can ask with genuine curiosity and respect, why wasn't Jesus recognized after his resurrection? Had he been folded into something new? Had he turned into goo and emerged a butterfly? One of the greatest pleasures I have had in becoming a Unitarian Universalist and then a UU minister is reading ancient stories with a heart open to liberatory and transformative interpretations. To borrow a phrase from both the Jewish and Christian scriptures, today on Easter Sunday and Trans Day of Visibility, we have the opportunity to have eyes to see and ears to hear a more complex and honest understanding of Jesus' story and our faithful affirmation of gender diversity. To me, it's obvious why the Christian stories of the Transfiguration and the resurrection are queer narratives. Jesus has been living in one day with little glimpses and comings out of his true nature for 30 years, and then he emerges as himself, and yet new. A person embodying their inherent worth, their inborn divinity, loud and proud for the first time. And importantly, Jesus had changed, and his friends loved him and passed on his teachings for 2,000 years. Have we not all been inspired by such transformational authenticity when a child first starts choosing their own clothes, their own nicknames, when a person hears and pursues their true calling, finding that vocation that seems perfectly tailored to their unique gifts, when a loved one transitions and shares with us and the world their full, beautiful self, when the spring buds open into gorgeous flowers, the pupa into a butterfly. I know some of my most treasured relationships are with my childhood friends who have loved and stuck with me from an awkward little kid in velour leggings with undiagnosed anxiety and the desire to study marine biology, to a still sometimes awkward UU minister in slightly more fashionable clothing and with treated anxiety. What a blessing to have people journey with me through my transformations. And this is not just some Reverend Katie project of inserting queerness, spectrums, and diversity into the story of Jesus. Queer theologians far more scholarly and insightful than I have dug into the biblical narratives to find what was always there, which is a diverse and beautiful world inhabited by diverse and beautiful creatures, diverse and beautiful humans. Like Euro-Australian Uniting Church minister and scholar Professor Robin Whitaker, reflecting on the biblical book of Genesis's narrative of creation, when God created humans in the image of God, male and female, they were created. Whitaker writes, if we look at this line in context, we see that the creation account follows a poetic structure that made up of a series of binaries that indicate the breadth of God's creation, light and dark, seas and dry land, land creatures and sea creatures, all declared by God to be good. In the structure of this Genesis poem, these binaries are not discrete categories, but indications of a spectrum. The sea and dry land merge on tidal plains. Some animals inhabit both land and sea. Darkness and light meet in the in-between spaces of dusk and dawn. God didn't create night or day, but night and day, inclusive of everything in between. If we apply the same poetic logic to humanity, a case can be made for sex and gender diversity built into the very fabric of creation. Creative diversity categorically called good by God. We live in such a both-and world, not an either-or world. This diversity is very good. And there's Cuban-American Baptist minister and theologian, Reverend Dr. Miguel de la Torre, considering Jesus' parentage, the story that his mother Mary became pregnant miraculously by God. Reverend Dr. de la Torre wrote, "Which bathroom would Jesus use? If indeed Jesus has XX chromosomes from his single mother, yet occupies a body that is interpreted as a man, can we ask if Jesus is intersex or transgender? Did Jesus experience a gender identity inconsistent with their sex assignment at birth? Could the real problem be a Eurocentric ideology which has imposed a rigid binary gender binary understanding, either male or female, on culture, including how we read the biblical text? Both male and female and everything in between and beyond find their worth and dignity in the image of God fully revealed in the intersexuality of Jesus. If all this is true, then I would assume Jesus would use whichever bathroom he believes is in accordance with his internal gender identity, and so should you. We are called to faithfully celebrate and protect diversity in humanity, the unique light shining from each of us. And we haven't even yet mentioned that in the Jewish and Christian scriptures, God and Jesus are constantly granting people new names. Sarai to Sarah, Jacob to Israel, Simon to Peter. We'll stop with the biblical hermeneutics for now. Many of you are relieved. But I'm always game for more. You can talk to me later. I hope that from this special Easter Sunday that you'll remember that the Bible is not anti-trans, is not anti-LGBTQ. I hope you remember that whoever you are and whoever you are authentically and miraculously becoming, you deserve affirmation and celebration from those you love. I hope you remember, as transgender British Australian Christian minister Reverend Dr. Joe Inkpin put it, I hope you remember God's invitation to be trans, to be transfigured. May each of us feel inspired by the story of Jesus, the story of the caterpillar, the story of Flora in spring, and be open to transformation and authenticity in ourselves and in others. May we be welcomed and welcoming when resurrected, reborn, and revealed. May we each have a happy Easter and a happy Trans Day of Visibility. Blessed be, and amen.
amazing again. Before the end of our service, I do have a few announcements. I would like to invite you all to our social hour, whether you are here in the building with us or online. Online, please join our Zoom room. If you're here in the building, we are having our annual Easter egg hunt. Ooh, so excited. But please go to Parish Hall, grab a cup of coffee, a snack, a beverage, and then go outside to watch our children as they seek eggs. And in recognition of Trans Day of Visibility, we are going to be holding a honk rally outside. We'll give you a little bit of time to grab something to eat again. Also, there are a few signs in Parish Hall, and you can make a new sign supporting our trans beloved siblings. Pastoral care team has a table set up with cards. If you would like to write a card to people we're missing, like Fred Cressy, Carl Hines, Betty Aponte, please fill out a card for them. If you'd like to send a card of sympathy to our beloved Laura Nevitt, please do find the table. Friendly feasts, those amazing events we gather for the sheer pleasure of each other's company and a shared meal, are happening again. Sign up in coffee hour. Sunday night book club is this evening. Tuesday, there's a Lane Lyceum on the Museum of Bad Art. That sounds so exciting and interesting. The Homegrown Coffee House on April 6th features the Southern Rail, a high-energy bluegrass band, and our Purpose Project, which is leading our congregation into rewriting our purpose statement that's part of our bylaws. We will be hosting a Zoom session on April 9th for anyone who missed our in-person session a couple weeks ago. And our next in-person session will be on Sunday, April 14th, before the service. And our regular weekly offerings of writing escapes and vespers and meditation ministries on Thursday, and creative escapes on Friday. We always extinguish our chalice with words promising to carry its flame in our hearts until we are all together again, no matter how long it is until we are all together again. Please join me from home or here in the building in saying those words written by UU Minister Reverend Elizabeth Sally Jones. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, nor the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Our closing hymn, Now the Green Blade Riseth, was written by 20th century Anglican priest Reverend John MacLeod Campbell Crum. The lyrics of Love Has Come Again are original, not a Unitarian Universalist adaptation. Please join in singing our closing hymn, Now the Green Blade Riseth. The lyrics are in your orders of service on screen and at number 266 in your gray hymnals. Please rise in body or in spirit.
As we close our worship today, take these words from non-binary Euro-American Christian minister and liturgist Reverend M. Jade Kaiser with you as a benediction. Don't be fooled by the way we tell the story. Resurrection is rarely a swift occurrence. Just look to the forest floors or the pages of history and find the pace of sacred things. Trust the hidden work of God quietly moving beneath the fractured and fissured surface, tending and holding, pruning and clarifying, undoing and recreating. May divine unfoldings be granted all the space they need. May the testimony of freshly budding things strengthen and inspire us. May we each experience and support transformation and resurrection. Our service begins when our service ends. Blessed be, and amen.